Part 9. It's 10:28. They walked through the rose trellis and back out into the busy street. She saw the porta potties. Catty Corner said, just in case somebody was listening, "I can take it from here, thank you so much." The porta potties were surrounded by a cloud of people and covered in stickers, as usual, posters taped up advertising and advocating events and behaviors. Nested worlds, the porta potty is a world within worlds. Hers had a blue glow stick floating in the tank, lit the whole thing in black light blue. She held her breath anyway, as I always do, she said to herself as she held her breath and released her pee, hurried out, gasping but pretending not to. Did she say goodbye to the pigeons? Did she say thanks for the ride? She didn't feel like going to Elon Musk's Cyber Ecotopia camp yet, but she imagined she could feel it kind of nearby. Checked her phone, no messages from anyone, switched it to low power mode, low data mode. She saw a drone hovering above her, felt it looking at her, decided to CV dazzle. She smeared her cheeks with foil gel, something strategic to confuse the lay of her nose. Shifted her sandals to confuse her gait pattern, pinky dip, to re-up on ecstasy. She wanted to feel blurry and hidden from the inside out, wanted her eyes to flutter. Could do without the lockjaw though, she thought, TMJ residuals still working their way through her teeth and cheeks even when sober and 20 years past her raver heyday. A form of flashbacks or half-life maybe. Feeling lonely but confident something was coming, a form of almost arrival. Zeno's paradox, half the distance forever, so close, and yet never ever there. She felt a sense of urgency curdling in the crowds around her. Maybe it was a dust storm, or rumors of a rare bass nectar set out by the trash fence. Something was lacing the streets with a collective tension. She pulled her wagon off the main road to try and duck the energy. Maybe she was headed towards Dove Camp. She couldn't remember the address. Something inconvenient. As she was crossing the street, she felt an idea descend upon her. Puff paint, cross-stitch fabric, beading wire, pony beads, crit beads. Fun fur, fabric glue, telephone cord, washers, nuts, hole protectors, filmy curtain fabric. Fun fur, did I already offer that? I think. Clear projector, plastic sheets, welding wire, wire terminals or ring terminals. It was a bookmaking reverie, material planning. She looked up from her inward-facing state to see someone staring at her, or gazing maybe from across the room. Across the road, as various people were crossing the line of sight at various angles, the gaze was holding in this steady way, like calm, like slow. They started walking over slowly, though with an eager or nervous hope to their gait. Expectant or hesitant, she could tell it was purposeful. They looked vaguely disheveled normie in a wilderness firefighter or outdoor weed farm way. Frayed cargo shorts and a wide-brimmed patchwork bucket hat, hiking boots, scruffy beard. They were close now. She looked up at them from the edge of her wagon. "Excuse me, are you Skylar's sister?" they said, and she said, "Yes, I am." Remembering all the other times she had been recognized as related to her little brother the way Skylar's sister, and the symmetry of its syllables felt nice to her. Form and content. "Yes, I am," she said, still not recognizing the person, but recognizing them as someone who might hang out with her brother in an archetypical or generic way. "I'm Billy's cousin Adam. I remember you from their graduation back in 2003. Even with all that stuff on," here they gestured to her dazzle, "you have one of those faces for me somehow, I guess. I remember it was at the Schnitzer. You had cheered for everyone who, like some people had a big group there and got a lot of cheers when they walked on the stage, and the people who didn't get a lot of cheers, you cheered extra loud for them." She searched their face and to try and pick up a string of this memory, but felt blank. Even in knowing it sounded exactly like how she operated back in 2003, especially. "That's me, always a friend of the underdog," she said, glad they weren't pressing her to from their memory exactly, or pretend she remembered it too. She felt good to be remembered in this way, impressionistic. There was a comfortable pause, and then, "Hey," said Adam, "got any plans for the next bit? I'm a minion out here. Like, I'm one of the many who the big camps pay to do things for them. And my next task is to go fetch water for the sensory deprivation tanks in that one right there, to spa or whatever. Refill each day. I get to take a big truck out there into the abyss, to the spring. Want to come with me? No pressure either way, of course." She felt like saying yes to the water quest. "I feel like saying yes," she said, trusting Adam quickly, of course, as was her trust's custom. "Let me stash my wagon." She pulled it back to disc camp, saw the boys in indigo, asked, "Can I leave this here for a minute?" "Sure," one of them said. "Don't forget our address, 230 in Benevolence. We have an amazing performance artist from Portland doing a therapeutic karaoke session here at Desk. If you're into that." She was. She had been to their sessions before and felt forever better for it, really. She left her wagon in a corner by a pile of beanbag chairs. It seemed happy there. Adam was waiting for her by the trellis. They jingled their keys. "Let's blow this popsicle stand," they said, and she smiled, enjoying the corny norminess or normie corniness of it. Adam moved their way diagonally through the festi towards the outer edge until they got to a swath of masses of anonymous tents, unglamorous and seemingly unthemed. No big signs, no house sound clashes. Someone was playing glitchy noise music on a boombox. A few people were hula hooping, laughing as they tried to match their moves to the stuttering beats. Adam gestured to a group of people on long chairs under a blue tarp strung between two vans. "That's my favorite camp, Irish camp. Just a bunch of Irish people who sit around and drink and laugh. Good, straightforward conversations. One of them looks just like Prodigy. Anyway, you never know what's going to make your day out here." They paused and swooped their vision around. "Aha, okay, here's the truck. I thought it was a dark ravine, but I guess not." It was olivine, lifted dually, with a plastic translucent tank in the bed that looked like a giant horse trough with a lid on it. "Yeehaw, let's rally," she said, leaning into her rural familiarities, the vernacular of her country upbringing. She remembered camping at the sand dunes with her friends, Winchester Bay, holding on as they rode double on four-wheelers up and down the hills, the thrill of it. "It's unlocked," said Adam, and they both got in and drove away, maneuvered between tents and RVs and bikes and all the walking and traipsing folk, headed due east, away into the open. They revved the engine, opened up the motor as the truck took them deeper into the salt flats, tendrils of dust wafting behind them, one curling ribbon from each tire, tangling up like a protein diagram. As they cruised, she felt very far away from everything, calm and floaty, slightly blurry, like she liked it. She remembered how, when she first moved to New York, all she wanted to feel was dance floor stupor, would pursue bass music and stand in front of speakers by herself, hoping a stranger would smoke her out. Adam passed a spleef to her and lifted a vial. "LSD?" they offered. "I'll take a microdose," she replied, touching the tiniest tip of her tongue to the vial's edge, excited to candy flip, to get cross-faded on multiple axes. She felt like a wave curling over upon herself. The mountains were getting closer. There was a flag, and they drove toward it, found a gravel road that switched back up onto a crag. "Aggro crag," she said aloud, remembering how much she loved watching Nickelodeon's Guts. Do you have it, Guts?" Adam pulled over next to a rickety outbuilding at the edge of a cliff looming upward. "There's a cave inside that mountain with a spring in it," they said, "and that's where they want the water from." They looked at each other. She felt entrapped by her desire to seek the spring inside the cave, to follow Adam in there, seek the depths, brush past them and go deeper. Healing pools, she could feel them so close to her, could feel herself dipping in, everything aglow, bioluminescent sparkles adorning her edges, where her body met the water and they disturbed one another's universes. She could feel herself infused by the thought of it. Wanted to be lit through with it, return transformed and change the world. They were still staring at each other, she and Adam, eyes aflutter. She had forgotten to offer them a pinky of her ecstasy, but maybe they had their own source. I don't really feel right about going in that cave, though, so I just fill up the tank from that garden hose right there, they said. Though maybe the hose is connected to a well that taps the cave springs itself, which would mean mine is a meaningless and self-serving distancing from the theft act, letting the infrastructure bear the burden that my conscience should refuse, or whatever. They made shrug emoji arms, and she felt understood, like she could envision pipes as this vast system built to enable easy, thoughtless transfer of resources, access to things she didn't deserve or even ask for. Yeah, she said, garden hose feels better, but probably isn't, is it? But there is at least a possibility it is, I suppose. Either way, drawing on an existing breach instead of DIY breach, which, though, would maybe be doubling down on the breaching effect of the first breach. Her head spun. She wished she had firmer principles to draw on or know what to do, more activism in her background. Maybe if she was more firm, she would clog the tap just in case. But anyway, that cave feels maybe sacred or special to me, but not for me, and I want to not go in unless I am invited by someone who belongs there. A vampire's ethics, said Adam and smiled. Wasn't it vampires who couldn't enter a place unless invited? And that way it sounds kind of cunning nonetheless, huh, she said, wishing she could have and practice perfect ethics and not feel like she was constantly leaning on the no ethical consumption and late capitalism excuse to make her feel better. She wallowed in her murky, blurry ethics and wondered about her urge to feel blurry, to seek stupor. Why was she like that? And Adam unspooled the hose and fed it into the trough, turned the spigot and heard the water begin to fall, to pool, to meet its new confine. She watched it slosh and slowly climb the walls from inside, fished for her jewel in her pocket, breathed it in without checking the setting, felt slightly hopeless and reckless, wondered what wreck was but didn't Google the etymology. Wreck versus wreck, enjoying the homophony. How the first name she guessed was so often Ricky, just letting it roll through her throat and hit her inner side teeth, mouthfuls of pronunciation. She felt like she was running her eyes over the sideways titles on the spines of books in a big library, maybe at a university. How often she refused to use the card catalog, just wandered the aisles, hoping she would land upon some fiction.